where he belongs. We stand today with our friends in the state of Israel and their right to defend themselves against Hamas terrorism. We condemn the media for lying about the attack on the Gaza hospital. It was not Israel that did it. We reject Joe Biden wanting to send $100 million of your tax dollars to the Gaza Strip. That will be commandeered by Hamas, and that is unacceptable. And they still have hostages that they are holding that are not just Israeli, but are Americans. I've also been very clear and led the way amongst presidential candidates. We are not going to import Palestinian Arab refugees from the Gaza Strip to the United States of America. They should go to Arab countries, not here in this country. And these people on college campuses that are protesting in favor of Hamas is a disgrace to this country. And I can tell you this, if those students that are foreign, that are here on a visa, and they're doing Hamas's bidding, when I become president, I'm canceling their visa and I'm sending them home. Biden is floundering. He's not doing what it takes to stand by Israel. This was funded and orchestrated by Iran. Now, I'm the only one running for president that served in the military. I served in Iraq back in 2007, 2008. And at that time, yeah, you're fighting al-Qaeda in Iraq, which drew the headlines. Most of the deaths of our own service members were Iranian-backed militia groups that were killing our people. They have a lot of blood on their hands. They're the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, yet Biden relaxed the sanctions, did the $6 billion deal. He needs to shut off the oil money to Iran, take back the $6 billion, put them in a box so that they can't fund Hamas and Hezbollah anymore. They did it because of his policies. That's why this happened to begin with. But we also look to see what happened over there, and that should cause us to look about our vulnerabilities here at home. Because we have an open border in this country that has allowed 7 million people to pour in illegally just in the last 2.5 to 3 years. Iran has sent people, China, Russia, other adversaries, Middle East, all the way through the border. There will be, and I said this before the Israel-Hamas, there will be a terrorist attack in this country, unfortunately, that we'll be able to trace back to the southern border. So we need to protect our own people. It's humiliating as a nation that we can't even defend our own border. So when I'm president, it's going to be a day one issue. It's not just a campaign slogan. We're going to declare it a national emergency on day one. We're going to mobilize all available resources, including our U.S. military, to be at the border to stop this invasion cold. And when you have people that come to this country illegally, as the president, I am going to send them back to their home country where they came from. That's what you have to do. We are going to build the border wall. And I'm actually going to make Mexico pay for it like the promise from 2016. Here's how you do it. Yeah, Mexico's just not going to cough up money. What you do is we're going to impose fees on the remittances that people send back to Mexico and Central America. You'll raise billions of dollars and we'll build the wall and we'll actually get the job done. We're also going to hold the Mexican drug cartels accountable for killing tens of thousands of our fellow Americans. I've met angel moms who have lost kids to fentanyl overdose. And the thing is, drug can be a tough thing, addiction's tough, but a lot of these kids, they're high school, college, they're not even addicted to drugs. They may have taken one thing and it happens to be laced with fentanyl, and then they die. And we had a situation in Florida. We had an 18-month-old baby at an Airbnb rental crawling on the carpet, and there was fentanyl residue on the carpet, and the baby died. So this is causing massive amount of damage to our country and to our communities. and I'm going to treat the Mexican drug cartels like foreign terrorist organizations, and we are going to use deadly military force to defeat the Mexican drug cartels. And we're going to do a lot more. We're going to reverse Bidenomics. We're going to do energy independence and energy dominance. We're going to take all the bureaucracy and rules and regulations, throw it in the trash can. We're going to fight Congress and not let them spend this country into oblivion anymore. We're going to make sure that our military is strong and that we're focusing on the mission and we get the woke out of the military so that we can fend off the threat from Chinese Communist Party. We're going to make sure criminals, whether you're in a red state or a blue city, criminals need to be held accountable for their crimes. They need to go to jail when they're harming people. We're going to make sure our cities are safe again. We're going to make sure that our school system focuses on educating kids, not indoctrinating kids. We're going to make sure the rights of parents are respected to direct the education and upbringing of their kids. And, you know, we got critical race theory out of the schools in Florida. I defeated Disney to get gender ideology out of the schools in Florida. We signed legislation to protect women's sports in the state of Florida. We're going to do that across the country. And we even had to sign legislation to prevent the sex change operations on the minors. It's mutilation and it's wrong, so we stopped it in Florida. And we'll do that for the country. We're going to make sure to rein in this bureaucracy and the weaponization of federal agencies. This government is supposed to be limited and work alongside us. It's not supposed to be an unaccountable set of power that imposes its will on us. So we're going to reconstitutionalize the federal government, and that's all important. There's a lot more things we're going to do, but here's the thing. None of it matters if you don't win, and none of it matters even if you do win if you don't follow through on what you said you're going to do. So I will get the job done against Biden, Newsom, Harris. Who knows who they're going to run? We need somebody that's got a proven track record of winning and winning big. And Republicans have not won big in most of the parts of this country over the last 3 election cycles. They don't want Biden again, but they want a fresh start. They want an end to the drama. They want to make sure that you have a president that's going to focus on your issues. It's not going to be about my issues. It's going to be about the future of the country. We're not going to be distracted. We'll be focused, we'll be disciplined, and we're going to get the job done. And I'm the only one running who can say that 100% of what I promised I would do in Florida, I accomplished and I delivered on. How many people can say that run for office? So I'll end with just this. Ronald Reagan said freedom's one generation away from extinction. It's not passed along in the bloodstream. I used to think that was a little bit over the top because I'm like, you know what, we're Americans. Isn't just in our DNA. But if you've lived through the last 4 or 5 years in this country, you know that he was right. Our founding fathers knew that he was right. They understood that freedom was fragile. When Benjamin Franklin walked out of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, he was asked, Dr. Franklin, did you give us a republic or a monarchy? He said, a republic if you can keep it. Because he understood you could have the best constitution in the world, you could have the best Declaration of Independence in the world. These things do not run on autopilot. They require each generation of Americans to step up and defend freedom when it's threatened. And I just did our Veterans for DeSantis rollout today, and sometimes defending freedom means putting on the uniform. It means risking your life and indeed giving the last full measure of devotion for service to this country. So we can lose this country if we don't get our act together. I can tell you this, you know, as your nominee, I will get it done up and down the ballot. We will have a big red wave, just like we did in Florida in 2022. As a leader, I'll be someone you can be proud of. And as your president, I promise you this, I will not let you down. Thank you all. God bless. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. North Carolina, South Carolina, Federated Republican Women. Y'all are great. Thank you. Oh,
what do we got here? Governor, we love you so much that because you're not wearing a dress and lipstick, we are making you an honorary associate member of the North and South Carolina Federations.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. You want me to?
Yeah, I do want you.
All right.
I definitely want you.
Is this on? Yeah? Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Normally the mics are on when you sit down and you do this kind of stuff. Governor, thank you.
What high school did you go to?
Miami Palmetto Senior High.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Florida guy right here.
Born and raised in Florida. This is kind of like Florida weather right now a little bit. Yeah, not bad. So let's start with, Governor, I was looking back at a poll at the most important issues that South Carolinians, Republican South Carolinians say are facing the country right now. Not surprisingly, inflation and rising prices was at the top of the list, 26%. So basically like 1 in every 4 South Carolinians. The money's been spent. The money's been printed that we know of that contributed to inflation. But if you're the president of the United States and you step into the Oval Office on day one, let's look forward. What can you do, or what would you do with your economic plan to try to bring down costs and to try to keep costs low if they are low at that point in time?
Sure. So any money that has not actually gone out the door, I'm clawing back. They still have COVID money out there. So whatever's there, we're clawing back. We're going to set a new standard with Congress. I'll veto if you go over certain levels of spending because their spending habit has caused this. We're going to take all the Biden rules and regulations, rip them out, throw them in the trash can because we need to grow the economy again. I mean, part of the way you reduce inflation, you increase productivity and investment. We need to do that. We are going to open up energy production, federal lands, Alaska, all this stuff. We'll be the dominant energy producer in this country. It'll lower your gas prices. Lower energy costs affects everything that you buy, so it's going to be good for the economy, prices generally. It'll be good for jobs, and it'll be good for our national security. And then we're going to rein in the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has been like an economic central planner.
Jay Powell spoke today. And I know you're a critic of him, the head of the Fed.
Well, yeah,
would you
here's the
go?
thing with the Fed chairman. I mean, he printed way too much money, expanded the money supply because of COVID. He basically thought that the whole economy was just going to be shut indefinitely. In Florida, we roared back, and we came back very quickly. And so they did that. But then they said, which was a mistake, but okay, it's a tough situation. The cardinal sin was saying, well, we have to unlearn Milton Friedman. We think inflation's just transitory. We don't think it's going to be a big deal. No, when you do that type of fiscal and monetary, you are going to have inflation. There's no other way around it. So they let that get out of hand, and now they've been hiking rates. So now if you want to buy a home, if you bought the average home in 2019 compared to the average home now, like yes, the top line is higher because of inflation, home values have gone up, but your mortgage payment is over twice as much on a monthly basis for basically the same house because the interest rates are 8%. So you got to get interest rates down, and then all of that will contribute to getting our budget in better situation because the interest on the debt is expanding with the budget. Pretty soon it's going to be more than the entire defense budget on current. So you got to get that down. You got to service the debt at lower rates. So you got to do all those things.
Would you try to fire Jay Powell?
Yes, I think yes, I would. I want a new Fed chairman, absolutely.
The second issue was illegal immigration, 19%, so basically 1 in 5. What would, if you were the president of the United States, the battle against the cartels look like either at the southern border and or inside Mexico?
So we're going to treat them like foreign terrorist organizations. Why? They've killed more than any terrorist group has ever killed in our country. If you look at the amount of drug deaths, 100-some thousand, and this has been happening for years, more and more every year. They get the precursor chemicals from China, then they move it in to the United States. And oh, by the way, the drugs are bad. They're bringing in sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor. I mean, they're doing all kinds of bad stuff. So we have every right to designate them as that. They're invading our country, killing our people. Commander-in-Chief, you not only have the right, you have the duty to protect your people. So we will have all the options on the table. We will use the type of force that is necessary to hold them accountable and to protect our people. And look, this stuff will be stuff that is not going to be broadcast, right? I mean, these are things where you have to have good operations. But I don't see how you can just sit on your hands. And these people in D.C., you know, they're happy sending money. They want to send $100 million to Gaza Strip. They want to send money here, here, here. But they don't care about the border of our own country. They just shrug their shoulders about what's going on here and all the damage that's been done. That is a dereliction of duty. And honestly, Biden is the most to blame, but almost all of those people up there, they don't care about you. They care about themselves, and that is the problem with what's going on.
Is the suggestion that there would be covert operations against the cartels?
We would keep all options on the table. Okay. We would use a variety of tools, including maritime assets in terms of the precursors coming in, because I think it's just that important. And look, I look around the world like, you know, Hamas, Israel, major thing. Terrorism is not gone. I know it hasn't been as front burner in recent years as it was maybe 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Still there. There's a whole bunch of things. But I'll tell you, in terms of the threat to your security and safety, the most immediate threat is as a result of that open border, both from the drugs and the cartels and then the potential terrorism that's been allowed. So we've got to do it. And you know, Republicans have been promising to do this for a long time. This has been an issue for as long as I can remember. You need a president that is actually going to get the job done, and I'm the guy to do it.
The number 3 issue was the Justice Department. 14% here in South Carolina said that was the most important issue facing the country, essentially that it's being used for political purposes, or the worry there. If you're the president of the United States, of course, you would get to nominate your own attorney general, whoever he or she may be. But Christopher Wray, at that point in time, would still be the FBI director.
Not for long. He's gone on day one.
Day one?
Day one. Yeah. Look, I mean, you know, Trump should have fired Comey on day one. He didn't. He waited. He did do it, and I backed him when he did it, but then it got him in a bunch of hot water, and I don't think it was right with the Mueller, but they used that to weaponize against him. And then he put Wray in. And I don't know why Wray, you know, or whatever. I didn't know anything about him. I remember White House asked me, can you tweet something nice about Wray? So I did, but I didn't know anything about him. But the reality was he didn't get the job done. He didn't reform anything. And so Trump should have fired him before he left office, 100%. And now, so day one, we'll have a new FBI director, obviously Attorney General, but we're going to clean out those agencies top to bottom. I mean, you need a wholesale. And here's the thing. The politicization is wrong. It's wrong when you have 2 standards of justice. It's wrong that parents would be surveilled going to a school board meeting by the FBI, that they'd have memos circulating saying observant Catholics are potential terrorists, on and on down the line. You guys seen how that is done. That's bad enough, because you do need, you know, Hunter Biden would have been in jail a long time ago if he were a Republican or wasn't connected to D.C. I mean, I think we all know this, and that's bad. But what I think compounds it is when the FBI is focusing on censoring social media posts, when they're focusing on school boards, when they're doing that, they're not focused on things that they actually should be focused on, like preventing crime in our country. Our cities are on fire with crime. I'm going to use the federal law enforcement to hold these George Soros prosecutors accountable in the big cities. They're causing huge problems. So we're going to do that. So it's going to be, buckle up, it's going to be a big change. I'm the only guy that's shown an ability to do this. I mean, I have removed 2 Soros-backed prosecutors in Florida. I've cleaned out a bunch of people. We've actually drained the swamp in Florida, and you can see, and that just requires bold leadership. You got to be strategic, you got to be disciplined, you got to be focused. But, you know, we've been promising to drain the swamp. I mean, I went to Trump's rallies in 2016, drain the swamp. That swamp did not. That swamp got worse. He put people in there that made it worse. And so you're only going to get one shot at this. And I think I'm the guy that has the best track record of going in there, being focused, being disciplined, knowing how to use the levers of power to be able to bring this administrative state to heel once and for all.
We're in South Carolina, so let me ask you about Nikki Haley, South Carolinian. She, on the issue of abortion, she has said a federal abortion ban is unlikely to pass Congress. Here's what she's talked about. She's talked about banning late-term abortions, encouraging adoptions, making contraception available, and making sure women are not jailed for getting an abortion. Do you take exception to anything that Nikki Haley calls for there?
Well, look, I mean, of course you're not going to jail a woman. No pro-lifer has ever argued for that. So when she's saying that, she's indulging media narratives. That's a narrative. That's not how it is. We have a heartbeat bill in Florida. It has nothing to do with putting a woman. It's ridiculous that that would even be mentioned. So I think she's playing in to some of the stereotypes that the left uses against conservatives. Don't accept the media narrative. Fight back against the media narrative. I'm not trying to please the media. I'm trying to do what's right. Now, I will say this. You know, we have a responsibility to look. So, for example, in Florida, you know, we're like, okay, people talk on the conservative side about being pro-life, and pro-life protections are a huge part of that. Don't get me wrong. But what are you going to do, okay, after that? How are you going to make sure that these kids are going to have a chance? So we saw one of the problems with raising kids is financial, especially with the prices going up, with inflation and everything. It is almost cost prohibitive for the majority of people. So in Florida, we made everything having to do with raising a baby, diapers, wipes, cribs, strollers, clothes, you name it. We made it permanently tax-free in the state of Florida. So you're saving. Families are saving money. They're able to do it. We've also done things through what my wife's initiative, First Lady Casey DeSantis, the Hope for Healing, Hope Florida, Pathway to Prosperity, where, you know, the welfare system in this country is designed to perpetuate dependence. We've created a model where you have a care portal, someone comes in, their information goes into the portal. That portal allows churches to connect, charities, businesses, volunteers, you name it. So if you have a single mom that's struggling, trying to raise a baby, they go in for assistance, that's going to go out. Guess what happens? The church will come and help, or charity will come and help. And you know what? That woman does not come back for welfare benefits. They're on a pathway to self-sufficiency because you got people that know what they're doing in the community that are there for her and for the kid or kids to be able to get them on their feet. Government is not going to be the solution. Government, though, can facilitate connections between people in need and organizations in the community who want to be helpful.
But if you're the standard bearer of the Republican Party as the president of the United States.
Oh no. So in terms of look, I think when Nikki says it's unlikely, I do think that that's just factually correct. So what I've said is.
So how would you steer the party? Because you've had the 6-week bill in Florida.
So we've had Heartbeat. South Carolina's Heartbeat. Iowa's Heartbeat. You know. But what I've said is, given the reality that the country's divided on, it really is a bottom-up thing. I mean, you know, you're going to have to work on the local level. You're going to have to work on the state level to be able to advance, you know, protections. I mean, in North Carolina, I think they did 12 weeks. You know, understand, the United States is an outlier with like California and New York saying that this can go all the way up to the moment of birth. Like no country in Europe allows that. Very few countries in the world allow that. So they, I think, have gotten very, very extreme on this because that's the party line position, whether you're in a red state or a blue state with them. I think with us, we just understand that there's a diversity of opinion, try to make progress, but I do think it is going to be more of a bottom-up situation.
There are questions about the others in this race. We just mentioned Nikki Haley, for example. If the other Republican candidates, Tim Scott, for example, and the senator from this state, cannot make it onto the debate stage in 3 weeks, give or take, I think it's 20 days from now, should they drop out of the presidential race?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, it's like I've been very weary of saying what anyone else should do, but I think clearly if you're not even able to meet that criteria to even get into a debate, then that's a problem. I mean, what's your path to victory at that point to be able to do? So here's just the honest to God truth. You know, there's two people with a pathway to victory. You know, you have the former president, who obviously is the best known and has got a lot of legacy support. And then you got me. I'm the only guy that can appeal to enough voters to be able to actually get it done ultimately. And, you know, we're showing that as we work through Iowa. You're going to start to see that, I think, more and more as we get to the end of the year and people start to dig in. But that's just the reality. And I think if that's your choice and it comes down to that, and it may come down to that by South Carolina, who knows, right? my argument would be a couple things. One, we need a president that can serve 2 terms. A lame duck president is not going to be able to get the job done. I don't care who you are. George Washington, I don't know, could get this done as a lame duck president. So you need to have that. You also need a nominee who can win. And I think the way you win is to focus the election on Biden's failures and our positive vision for the future. If the election's about all these other issues, then it's going to give the Democrats a huge advantage. It's going to give the media an ability to drive that in, and they will do that. They'll change their tune on all this. You watch if former president's nominee. So we want it to be an election on Biden and us as the positive, just like it was for Reagan versus Carter in 1980. So I think that that's really important. Also, you need a president that's going to be able to attract the personnel necessary to fill the administration. I don't think Donald Trump could get the people to serve in the administration. I mean, think about all the problems so many of them have already had, how he's treated a lot of people. As a leader, when things go wrong, you've got to take responsibility. It's easy to try to throw someone else under the bus, but they need to know that, you'll have their back when the going gets tough. And so, I've shown that in Florida. So the personnel, because you can make the best decisions in the world. You can have the best vision and the best policy. If you don't have a cadre of people there that are helping to implement that, particularly in the face of a hostile bureaucracy, then it's not going to amount to very much. So that's another thing. And then I think you want somebody who has the track record of delivering on the promises. And, I went to Trump's rallies in 2016. I was excited about build the wall, have Mexico pay for it. Didn't deliver. Drain the swamp. Didn't deliver. Special counsel for Hillary. He said that, and then 2 weeks after the election, he said, never mind, Hillary. He said he likes her. Now he says she's beautiful Hillary. That's how he refers to her. He's promising the same stuff this time, except the special counsel's for Biden. So it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. You're running on the same stuff. You didn't do it the first time. You'd be a lame duck if you could even get elected and all that. Why not give somebody a chance who is going to spit nails from day one, is going to be energetic, is going to be forceful, disciplined, focused, and deliver for you? It's not about me, it's about you.
Governor, we only have a few more minutes. As we sit here right now, President Biden is about to give an Oval Office address on the situation in Israel and the situation in Ukraine. We spoke yesterday on the Hill, and I had asked you, there's talks of a $100 billion package. And you said to me at the time, I saw the top line, I'd like to see some of the details. That's when we spoke midday yesterday. Now we are hearing, we don't have it definitively, at least as of walking on this stage, that it could be tens of billions of dollars going to Ukraine, maybe that number's around 60 billion, and about 10 billion to Israel. If that is indeed the case, with tens of billions of dollars going to Ukraine and about 10 billion to Israel in one package, would you support that?
They should not do one package. These are separate issues. They should debate them separately and let the American people weigh in accordingly. I'll say this. So we've had a long-standing relationship with Israel. I've always supported that relationship. That has involved military support and whatnot. I mean, usually a few $1 billion a year. We've done about $150 billion to Israel since its inception over 75 years. I think it's $158 billion. They're not really asking us for that much now. Now, maybe he'll say behind the scenes, Bibi has asked for some of this. But they have a good military. I got asked in the town hall today, would you put our troops in Israel? I was like, of course not. They can defend themselves. We support their right to defend themselves, but it's their war. It's not our war. And so I don't know what they've asked for. So I want to see what they've asked for. I think my sense about what Biden's doing, he knows the Ukraine money is not popular with the public because they've spent a lot. They haven't put a clear objective to it. It's kind of a stalemate. A lot of that money is going to social services and salaries for bureaucrats and things that American taxpayers do not want to be funding. So he understands that there's a political problem, and I think he thinks if he can attach Israel and just throw a bunch of money there, then because it's Israel, everyone's going to have to say yes. But I think the Congress is not going to just eat that. I think they're going to separate them, and I think that they're going to do. So I'm supportive of Israel. But even with Israel, you have to identify, how much money and justify that. I mean, I think the way these people have spent your money and put us in debt, the burden should be on them to make sure that all this is something, that's on the up and up. But I think that by and large, the support for Israel is going to be important, but I don't think it's going to be tens of billions. I really don't. I don't think they're asking for tens of billions, and I think that we would save money by just saying, do the job and take out Hamas and don't try to undercut them. If we just did that, I think they'd be able to take care of this in relatively short order.
Governor, got